Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Man, oh man, them Democrats going to have a really tough November, but you knew that. Now let's start with this. There are 5 stages in what they call a recession, right? As we head to a recession. So what are those 5 stages? And the reason I'm talking about this is the GDP shrunk 1.4%. Oh, it's not good. It's not good. There's a lot of reasons for that. Job loss. Are we there? No. Can't even find enough people to work. Falling production. Some places, but we don't really produce like we used to in certain areas. So I think that's a push. Failing demand, which happens to occur twice. Well, we don't have that. We know that for sure. And peak production. We're not there yet. We're not. We're just not. So while this isn't great news, the reality is simply this. And to me, the most important thing, which is not in there, is how do people feel? Are they, how should I say, confident in said economy? I don't know if that's true. I don't think people are confident in said economy. Not right now. I think they are worried. We talked about it the other day. They were asking a bunch of, they were polling people. Describe how you feel right now about everything that's going on. And American voters are scared, fearful. I mean, they're looking back and they're looking at historically bizarre world of this tsunami of weirdness of Cold War, high inflation, immigration like we've never seen it. It's crazy, right? But we're not there yet. Doesn't mean we're not going to get there. I've been saying that I do believe we are going to have a recession. Now, I don't think it's going to be 2008. Although Deutsche Bank came out yesterday and said it's not going to be mild. It's not 2008, but it's definitely not going to be a mild. It's not going to be the soft landing and then we turn around and go. It's going to be more of a hard landing, but it's not going to be the crash that we saw in 2008. But if you're a Democrat right now, what do you have? If I was to ask you, and you're a Democrat, you could tweet at us at Chad Benson Show, and you could text the program 323-538-CHAD, 323-538-2423. What are you pointing at as super successful? What are you pointing at as, yeah, we rock that? What are you pointing at this moment in time where you're like, this is, look at all the great stuff we've done. I'm curious. Now, you can go to unemployment. It's possible. Yeah, I mean, that's again, everybody touts their unemployment unless it's somebody else's unemployment, right? Meaning if it's bad, it was the last guy's. If it's good, it's all me. Well, the stock market's struggling at this moment in time. It's down 6% on the year. That is not a win. And I have a sense today it's going to be off more than a smidge based on this stuff, right? So you're not probably going to tout the hell out of that. So you start asking yourself the questions, what am I running on? Failed immigration? That's the hot mess. And it matters because come November, in the changing of, quote unquote, the guard early next year, it is going to look different and feel different in Washington. Doesn't mean the Republicans are going to do anything better because I think, as we all know, they tend to do the exact opposite. Whenever somebody gets power, they tend to not just – here's the funny thing. They don't just tend to squander it. They just screw it up. But if you're a Democrat right now, you are realizing that, come next year, I'm probably going to have a new gig. Oh, my God. 1.4%. That's what the economy did. The GDP declined. A lot of things for that. Again, and I think we'll see a little bit of a jump in the next one, but there is worries out there. Houses aren't moving like they were. Part of that is because still there's not enough homes for people. And at the same time, with rents as high as they are in a lot of places, people are trying to figure out what to do. There's still a lot of cash buyers out there. And that's the way to go at this moment in time, because the way that rates have risen, I mean, you're adding, to a typical home, you're going to add $500 to $800 a month on your payment just because of rates. It's a crazy economy, but it's not quite there yet. But I do believe we're going to head there. And if you're heading into this midterm, you can't have a smile on your face if you're a Democrat. You just have to know, you're not saying you're abandoning ship, but you're definitely a lot more independent than you were, say, 8 months ago. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. So yesterday we heard a little bit of the PBS, right? That's the public broadcast system. The guy they call Fauci comes out and does, Fauci-like stuff, who is, for all intents and purposes, I think we can admit, he's been awful. He's been as political as anybody he accuses of being political, if at times far worse than a lot of other people, because he cries politicism everywhere else, and then when he does it, he shrieks down and says, but everybody comes to his rescue. But he comes out and says,
we are certainly right now in this country out of the pandemic phase. Namely, we don't have 900,000 new infections a day and tens and tens and tens of thousands of hospitalizations and thousands of deaths. We are at a low level right now. So if you're saying, are we out of the pandemic phase in this country? We are.
So we're out of the pandemic phase in this country. A lot of people are already living that way. They're like, that's kind of where we thought we were out of this pandemic phase. Later on in the day, Jen Psaki.
But we also know COVID isn't over and the pandemic isn't over. And what Dr. Jha said yesterday, low, cases are still, we've seen an uptick in some places, driven by the extremely transmissible BA2 variant. We know the risk of potential surges, even as a potential new variant or subvariant remains. So different phase, because we're at a much lower level of hospitalizations, of deaths, and even nationwide of cases, but we are still seeing people get very sick from COVID. We have measures that we should all continue to take to protect ourselves.
So we're out of it. We're not in it. I'm just trying to understand. Are we not? Because he said we're out of it into a different phase. And again, are we out of it?
So there's no question that we're in a different moment in our fight against COVID. But we also know COVID isn't over and the pandemic isn't over.
Oh, okay. Get your house together. Get your house together. Shows you just, it's hard to trust government. We're inherently, as a nation, untrustworthy of government. I mean, it's the whole reason we have here we are. We go and we get our Declaration of Independence. Why? Because we didn't trust the king. We wanted to be sovereign. We wanted to be our own thing, right? So we break away from that. And they're like, hey, do you want to be king? And he's like, I don't want to be king. We shouldn't have kings anymore. He's like, yeah, you're right. So we'll do what? We'll have president, right? We give 4 years, we can vote on stuff again, but but let's put stuff in place while we're doing all these things where we have a piece of paper, because we're all, SOBs at some point, and somebody's going to overreach, and we need something that's going to slap them down. So we're inherently not a trustworthy people when it comes to government. In this instance, when we look back on this in 4, 5, 6, 7 years, the reality of how bad this thing is going to be when the powers that be are long gone from the scene, so they can't be prosecuted, that's too much of a word, but prosecuted publicly for the debacle that they have led us through, which is one of the other reasons we have this nightmare here. But there's no doubt, you come out and you tell everybody, we're definitely out of the pandemic phase. Oh, well, we're into, it's something, it's never going anywhere. We don't call the flu epidemic, that went away in 1919 as we're out of that phase. It's, by the time it was gone, it's just the flu. That's what it is now. This is just what this is. It's endemic, not pandemic. It always was going to be that way. We were never going to ever get rid of it. More transparency. We're going to talk a bit about this later because the Government Accountability Office came out with some stuff that's getting zero press. Zero. From any of the establishment yahoos. And it should be talked about. They're like, oh, yeah. This thing was fraught with all kinds of politics. People were terrified to say, this data doesn't match up because they thought they were going to get in trouble. And there was going to be, so whistleblowers have finally come out and said, we feel it's safe now. Yeah, this thing was all politics. There was things that were going on out there that was solely based on politics. Information that was hidden, data that was changed. Yeah, that deserves a talking about. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Guess what? I'm still here. So is Phil and Anthony, which means that we didn't win last night, the Powerball, and it was kind of sad because I was in Gilbert the other day.
Because of a late surge in interest, the estimated jackpot for the Powerball lottery rose substantially. So at the time of the drawing,
it's worth an estimated $473.1 million. So get those
lottery
tickets
officials say a single ticket sold at a convenience store in Gilbert, Arizona, matched all 6 numbers in the Wednesday night drawing. The winner will pick between the whole $473 million paid out over 30 years or take a lump sum of $283 million.
I think we know what we'd be doing. Lump sum, $283 million. You're probably walking away with about $200 million. Your life has changed. One ticket, not too far from me. And once again, we're here at work. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. So much stuff to get to. Some interesting stuff about Spotify. Apparently controversy isn't all bad as well. Immigration. Mayorkas back on the Hill today. Well, here's some of the stuff that he talked about yesterday. 323-538-2423. Let's talk about MyPillow. You know that $200 million? You could buy a lot of MyPillow towels. Tons and tons of MyPillow towels. Plenty of them available. And I'll tell you why. Because they produce cotton here. They've got inventory. Because they work hard. And the stuff is amazing. You get a 6-day money-back guarantee, 1-year warranty, tons and tons of colors and sizes to choose from. And when you take these towels and you're thinking to yourself, oh, normally they're $109.99. They're now $39.99. And you use them, it actually absorbs water. How many towels do you buy? And you're like, these feel nice. You get home and like, these things suck. Or they're thin or they're too lotiony. Not with MyPillow. Right now, save big. Only $39.99 for 6 towels, colors, sizes for you to choose. Go to mypillow.com/Benson. Use the promo code Benson right there to save big. mypillow.com/Benson. Check out all the other deep discounts at mypillow.com/Benson. Tons of them. Or call 800-983-4975. Use promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
In the first quarter of 2022, there was a lot of talk about Joe Rogan's Spotify podcast. Neil Young and other artists had their music pulled from Spotify over what they say was COVID misinformation spread by Rogan. And hundreds of doctors signed a letter calling on Spotify to be more responsible. Boycott Spotify was a trending hashtag. But not only did people not boycott, they signed up. Paying Spotify subscribers grew by 15% over the first quarter of last year to a total of 182 million, even though Spotify lost 1.5 million subscribers when it pulled out of Russia.
Yeah. So it still grew. Because controversy sells? No, because idiots who push controversy help sell something. And people pushed back. Joe Rogan talks about all kinds of crap. If you've ever watched an actual episode, and they can go for an hour and 10 minutes, they can go for 3 hours. They talk about everything. But it's hilarious. Like, oh, we're going to show everybody. Look at us. I'm Neil Young. I'm pulling out. Who cares, you geriatric nut job? Pull out. All of you. My God. Hilarious. But they lost. Yeah, they lost subscribers because Russia. Russia, remember them? They went into Ukraine. They've continuing to do horrible things in Ukraine, continuing over and over to do bad things.
Over Belgorod, videos circulating online show an explosion in the sky and a fire at an ammunition dump. The cause of these explosions are unknown, no claim of responsibility, but an advisor to President Zelensky saying simply, karma is a cruel thing.
Yeah. I love how they're not saying that they're bombing, but they're also not saying it. They're like, what happened? Oh, that's horrible. I can't believe that happened in your country, that somebody would dare cross the line and maybe do something in your country. Well, sometimes that happens, right? And they deserve it.
A Ukrainian commander said to be inside the plant pleading for the civilians and his fellow soldiers to be evacuated to safety. Saying, if that doesn't happen, people here will simply die. This comes as new satellite images reportedly showing evidence of a third mass grave site outside the city.
Yeah. Third mass grave site. They're finally filing some charges for war crimes. But yesterday, Putin essentially threatened anybody who helps them with there'll be a lightning fast attack. We're ignoring you now. You're going to do what you do, and nobody is going to give in to you. And I think that's a lesson to be learned. And by the way, the Chinese who are struggling with COVID are looking over going, if we attack Taiwan, they're much better prepared than Ukraine was. I wonder what that looks like. Yeah. Little second thought. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The economy took a step backwards. Oh, no. Yep. Quarterly contraction of 1.4%. So not good. Not quite in recession territory. But definitely cause for some alarm. And if you're, looking at on a political side and you're a Democrat, you're every time you drive by a gas station, because prices are going up again, every time you drive by a gas station, you're like, ugh, because that's a campaign sign against you. And every time you hear, hey, the economy contracted, that is a campaign commercial against you. Every time they talk about immigration and what a nightmare it is and how nothing is getting done, that is anyone, a campaign against you. Mayorkas, the Homeland Security Secretary, he was on the Hill yesterday. He'll be there again today. And he just is, I don't even know. I looked at some of the 6-point plan. I don't know if you guys have seen. So they have a 6-pillar plan. Oh, God, Chad, get it right. It's 6 pillars. And I don't find any of the pillars to look like that they're going to withstand a lot of stuff. I just don't.
Our undersecretary.
Yeah, you're an undersecretary. So he was getting grilled a little bit yesterday. A little bit. Today, I think it's going to be much worse for him.
Secretary Mayorkas, do you believe frontline agents and officers who consistently say that they are poised to lose operational control or some or all of America's southern border once Title 42 is lifted?
Ranking Member Katko, it is our responsibility to maintain operational control of the border. That is what our personnel are dedicated to doing. That is what the personnel of throughout the department and I, as a secretary, are dedicated to doing, and we will not lose operational control of the border.
Yeah, I think it's already happened. It is. You're apprehending people who are turning themselves in, by and large, at this point. And then what scant officers we have who are absolutely scattered, they're doing the best that they can, but I mean they're catching very few because there's just not enough of them. And you'll go out there and, you know, like I said, I've got several friends who are Border Patrol agents because I live on the border, like so close to it. And they'll tell you, it's just, there's times at night, they're you know, after they've been chasing people for hours, they're just like, you know what, I'm exhausted. We can't do it anymore. We can't. And some of the stuff you're not hearing is when you're catching them, as they call them, they try to, you know, they're trying to be getaways. It's not this hand stuff over. And it's the, yeah. No, this is a different thing. The frustration level is through the roof. And of course, it's always somebody else's fault, right? It is.
We inherited a broken and dismantled system that is already under strain. It is not built to manage the current levels and types of migratory flows. Only Congress can fix this. Yet, we have effectively managed an unprecedented number of non-citizens seeking to enter the United States.
Yeah. Now, he did inherit a mess, but you didn't do anything to fix it. This administration has done nothing to fix it. This administration has absolutely done zero to fix anything when it comes to this border. So Jim Lankford out of Oklahoma, senator, came out and want to talk about some of the pillars and the excitement of this amazing plan of which he was reading from some of it. He was thrilled.
And can I tell you, if you read through the report, and I hope you do, from what they call a supposed plan, this is not a plan. This is just what they plan to be able to carry out to do to increase the numbers even more. It's not a plan to decrease the numbers. And I can say that not based on my opinion, but based on theirs. Go to the back of their report of their supposed plan on this. They end with their conclusion statement. May I read this to you?
So he's got it all in his hands. Remember, 6 pillars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you're going to start to realize, okay, this isn't a plan to stop people from getting in. This seems to be a plan to deal with them once they're here.
The conclusion statement says, despite the best efforts of our dedicated DHS workforce and our partners executing this comprehensive plan, a significant increase in migrant encounters will substantially strain our system even further.
Oh. So inside of their 6 pillars and the report that they hand out, which again, scant with information of what these pillars are going to be based upon, there's like, at the end of the day, we can't really do anything. Yeah, we're going to try everything we can. We're going to put some stuff in place. We're going to hire some more officers and do everything we can. But, all that being said, nothing's going to happen. I mean, it's going to be, carry on.
So their plan is not to reduce the number of people crossing. Their plan is this is about to get worse. And we're aware that this is about to get worse. This is not a plan to stop illegal immigration. This is a plan to accelerate illegal immigration, and they even admit it. This has got to stop. The American people just want the enforcement of our laws. That is not too much to ask.
No, it's not. Senator Oklahoma, Lankford right there. Absolutely. It's not too much to ask. It's not. But for this administration, more so than any other administration, it apparently is way too much to ask. Yet another check mark against voting for the Democrats in November. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. I keep laughing about what's going on with Elon Musk. The freak out is still hilarious. And how many people have you seen? I don't know if you follow any of it. And again, the weird side of this whole thing with Elon Musk is watching people talk about how can a billionaire have this kind of control over news and information when you don't seem to care that Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post, or, that 99% of people that work for these companies are on the left side of the aisle. None of that stuff seems to matter. Well, everything's fair. Do you really think it is above board? I'll tell you this. I don't try at Twitter, mostly because, well, you. I don't want to fight with everybody. I've gained so many followers over the last couple of days. It's been kind of weird. And the more that comes out of Twitter is because everybody thinks everybody who works in Twitter is these snowflakes who are terrified that Elon Musk is going to come in and somehow make them all write the N-word all over their thing and denounce homosexuality. That's the furthest thing for that. That's so ridiculous. Jack Dorsey, founder of Twitter, goes, hey, if there's one person on earth that can do this, that can own it outright and do it right, it's this guy. So, but people inside of Twitter now are like, all of a sudden, people are picking up followers. All of a sudden, like Jim Jordan just tweeted, wow, that's weird. I picked up 100,000 people following me in less than 48 hours. Ice Cube talked about, thanks for getting me off the shadow ban, which is real. So you know what a shadow ban is? You still post things, but kind of you're the only one who could see it. So he wants transparency, free speech and transparency. Sweet mother of God, who would want that?
What Musk is proposing is nothing extraordinary. He just believes in free speech. Now, what does free speech mean? It means that you're not free unless you have the right to express yourself. It means you're not free unless you can say what you think. He is not telling the wokers that they can't express their opinion on Twitter. What he is saying to the wokers, the ones who run Twitter, you can't censor points of view that you disagree with. That's the way America works. That has not been the way that Twitter has worked.
No, it's not been. Let's be real. I've been censored. I'm about the things that I could tweet and say, which everybody's like, that's controversial. Or, we keep joking about I just continue to say, you know what, man, we just got to do a podcast. Let's let it all out. We might only do a few, but they'll be memorable because it is insanity the way that this stuff goes. And you do usually have to scream, and eventually somebody chops you down. But then eventually you get to a point where you're a little bit too big for them to kind of really just overnight, because you're not saying anything horrific. You're not advocating violence. You're not being blamed for January 6th, Trump and everything. But you're, so all of a sudden it's like this really weird thing where, it's kind of like with YouTube, right? Like YouTube, it'll ban some people, but then other people are at the point where well, we're not going to get rid of them. Transparency is huge. And he wants it to be open source. Take a look at what's going on. See the way this thing is working. And I think what we're going to find out is, oh my God, some of these crazy people on the right, the far, far right, I'm not talking about just were absolutely correct in some of this stuff. And some of it was overthought. But you can't tell me when I do very little. I tell you guys to tweet at me or something like that, but, or text me. But when you look at the numbers that some people put on, and I've gained a couple hundred followers over the last couple days, I've tweeted like 3 times. You don't find some sort of coincidence? You don't?
That's called the free exchange of ideas. And that has not been the case on Twitter. And everybody knows it, including the woker executives who run the thing. That's why they're so upset. My advice to my friends at Twitter who are running the place is, look, there's a new sheriff in town. You go fill out a hurt feelings report, but things are going to be different.
Do they have a hurt feelings report? Probably. Give them an opportunity to have a hurt feelings report. Somebody will put that together. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us if you'd like to. Text the program as well. Try to answer back as many people as possible. A lot of stuff still to squeeze in. More about what's going on in Russia, what's happening over there. Crazy. A woman potentially faced being evicted, and she was desperate, so she got married. Tell you to, well, we just got love coming up. I mean, there's no other way. Between that and a guy in Japan with his love, I don't know what you do at this point. Just love is in the air. Let's just put it that way. Just right there. Car Shield, 24/7 roadside assistance anywhere in the country. Right? Your car breaks down. Call Car Shield. #1 auto protection company in the country. They say, okay, what do you need? We're here. We're here to take care of you. Doesn't cost you anything extra. Roadside, so you got that roadside assistance. You can choose the mechanic you take your car to be worked on. They get them paid directly. They handle the paperwork and all the other annoyances. You pay a small deductible, and while you're there, you can get trip reimbursement if you need to go somewhere. And, oh yeah, a rental car for free. Again, no extra cost. As prices go up for everything, including labor, protect your car. Get yourself Car Shield. Go to carshield.com/Benson. When you do, lock in your forever pricing. I mean, your price is never going to go up as long as you have the plan. It's carshield.com/Benson, carshield.com/Benson, or call 800-391-8888, 800-391-8888 to save 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
A woman in London has legally married her pet cat. Apparently, Deborah Hodge got all dressed up and actually held a ceremony. The cat is now legally her spouse. Deborah Hodge is here with me now to explain. So, Deborah in India, you guys tied the knot. You did this because you were going to get evicted? Your landlord had a no pet policy? Is that true?
Well, technically it's because I got sacked from a company called FDM, but my landlord doesn't like people on benefits. And, you know, like, what am I going to do? I can't lose my cat.
No, you can't lose your cat. That's for sure. I'll tell you that right now. And by the way, benefits over there. So you lose your house, you lose your job. The benefits, even in Britain, are pretty damn generous. So she thought to herself, what am I going to do? Well, I've always liked the cat.
Well, what was the wedding ceremony like? Did anybody walk down the aisle? A turtle?
Well, we did a civil ceremony.
As you do.
We did it outside. We had a pastor who has been ordained, and she blessed the wedding. And I spoke to the universe and said that I would never be away from my cat. And it was quite marvelous. And then we had tea afterwards.
As you do, once again. So she did all of those things because, of course, again, you're married. You fell in love with a cat because you don't want to get evicted. And my landlord really doesn't like the fact that I'm on the dole, as they would say. You're UB40. I've went and filled it out.
Yeah, a little bit.
Is anybody jealous? Do you have boyfriends that come over, girlfriends that come over? Does it get awkward?
Well, my cat's really super friendly. She's got 3 legs because she's a bit of a whore, and she used to lie in the main road and stop traffic. And then at the beginning of COVID, she got hit by a car. And the reason I love her so much was because she came back even though her leg was like super broken. Okay. So now she's a house cat.
Oh, she's a house cat. Now the big question is...
You're not sexually attracted to the cat, are you?
Oh my God, no. And, according to Meet the F***ers, you can't milk a cat. I've not tried, but... No, I'm not sexually attracted, but I don't want to be without my cat. Like, that would be a bit weird.
Yeah. You go from that to the fictosexual guy in Japan who is struggling in his marriage of 4 years because the hologram girl he married, which is a 16-year-old pop culture icon / anime singer that you see everywhere, well, they're just having troubles communicating. He spent almost $18,000 on the nuptials. His family didn't attend, but they're having marriage problems. He has a doll made up. He needs help, is I think what we're saying. He married the hologram, and the only thing I could think of is if you've ever watched Archer, right? The crazy scientist on Archer, he married the same hologram. 323-538-2423. Krieger! Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
That is me. You are you. How you doing? Little dip in the economy. Not quite recession level, but definitely a pullback. You've got to be wary of that. I think consumer confidence out there is the thing that I always look to, that to me matters more than anything else, because if you feel good that things are good, you're going to look at life in a much different way. You're going to spend a little different. If you're wary, well, you're going to spend a little different. A lot of things have caused us to contract 1.4%. We're not quite there. I think that's what everybody's saying. Are we there yet? Are we going to get there yet? Is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? These things ebb and flow, right? We saw, like we had what would be considered to many, first quarter and second quarter 2020, a recession. It's hard to call that a recession when we forced it upon ourselves. And then we saw massive growth and we saw huge numbers and blah, 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 blah. When we opened stuff up, oh my God, this just isn't a normal time, right? There wasn't the normal ridiculousness and foolishness that went into to causing this. You've got what's going on in China and their insanity. By the way, the COVID insanity in China is they have got cages now. So they bring in these fences. This is a little quick, little tangent here I'm going on. They bring in these fences now, and they're fencing in people's homes. So you can't even get out of your garage or whatever. I mean, that's where they're at. And it's going to get worse. And that's going to cause more slowdowns, and the supply chains are going to break. And we're not quite there. But I think we'd be fooling ourselves if we didn't think in the next 6 months or so that we're probably going to have a pullback that may end up being a recession. Now, how bad will it be? Deutsche Bank originally called it a few weeks ago. It says there's going to be a recession late this year into early next year. And then again, the same pattern in 2023. And they said, but it's going to be mild. They've kind of upped that too. It's going to be a little bit more than mild. Several other banks and economists are saying, yeah, there's probably going to be a recession. It's just how big will it be? But we'll get through it. We will. And then, of course, you've got the insanity of Dr. Fauci, what's going on there, and all that craziness. And, of course, yesterday he came out on the PBS show, which is a program.
We are certainly right now in this country out of the pandemic phase. Namely, we don't have 900,000 new infections a day and tens and tens and tens of thousands of hospitalizations and thousands of deaths. We are at a low level right now. So if you're saying, are we out of the pandemic phase in this country? We are.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say we're living like that. Well, things are going up. Now, I've said since the beginning of this, and I've got friends who work in high places who we grew up together. One works in the pharmaceutical industry. Another one works at and they send me stuff. They tell me, what you look for, what not to look for. This thing's never going away. Once it got here, it was always going to be endemic. That was always the end goal for this thing. And they'll tell you, immunologists, they'll tell you some things come and then they disappear. They're not gone. They just disappear. You'll find them pop up every once in a while, but by and large, they're just kind of, and then things become truly endemic, which I think is what we're kind of heading for at this point in time. We're never going to get rid of this thing. So Jen Psaki, so he comes out, he says that we're done. The pandemic phase here, it's done. Most of us are living a life that way. He comes out and says that later on in the day, Jen Psaki, when is she leaving? Do we have a estimate, right? Isn't she supposed to be doing something with the old MSNBC? Aren't they paying her a ton of money to, I don't even know who she's replacing. But, so she comes out and, because people had heard about what took place. Hey, this, Fauci said all these things. She goes to the rigmarole. Well, we're in a different part and, this, that, and the other and blah, 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 blah. And some places are seeing a little bit of a rise, but and then she says, again, people pressed her. Are we out of this pandemic?
So there's no question that we're in a different moment in our fight against COVID. But we also know COVID isn't over and the pandemic isn't over.
So wait, the pandemic's not over. COVID's not over. But he said it, then he walked it back later. On my local show yesterday, we were talking about him saying it. And our news lady, Becky Lynn, chimes in as we're talking about it. It's one of our last segments today. And they're like, oh, yeah, he's reversed his course. And my on-air partner, Gatos, is like, he's like, look, people, we apologize. We don't even know why we bring him up anymore. We apologize. We apologize because we listen to anything he has to say. And I said, I've been telling you that, man. I've been telling you that. But the thing you should look at, the most important thing, the only numbers that matter, hospitalizations. Even deaths are, again, that's a slippery slope. But it's hospitalizations with COVID, is not the same as hospitalizations because of COVID. But hospitalizations are the things that matter. And we're at the lowest rate that I have seen in forever since this thing's gotten here. And it really became something. Because it was, remember at first, it was here, but we didn't really know what it was. And was it? Well, I'll tell you this. Let's just look at this if we're going to go by the numbers that they have. We can go back away. All right. So hospitalizations, July 15th, 2020, 33,750. Took a bit of a drop. October down to, 27,000. Then it peaked again to 128,000. And then it's been around, 12,000. Oh, my goodness. You know where we are today? 10,000 people in the hospital because of quote unquote COVID. Those matter. 75% of kids got Omicron. 60% of Americans got it. You couple that with the vast amount of people that got vaccines and or boosters, we're fine. But it's the reversal that, and the fear of letting go. Let it go. They just don't want to. They just don't want to. And that brings us to the next thing, the Government Accountability Agency. So CDC, FDA, and NIH workers did not report incidents of political interference fearing retaliation, says the agency. So this is like it's just basically an agency that they go in and say, look, we got to hold the government accountable. We are completely bipartisan. We are trying to be as apolitical as possible. But they talk about the politics, pushing certain things that have been laid out prehand, and then all of a sudden the data changed, and guess what? People don't want that data out there. Stuff being omitted, stuff being changed. Not a lot of people will talk about this, and it needs to be talked about in a much bigger way. We've always known that. We've always known that there was politics in this, but when you start to hear it, but it goes back to what I've been saying, that the powers that be will have to be long gone before we find out the truth of how bad we managed this and how much government overreacted. How much money was made, how much of it was stolen, how much of it was given away, how many cronies profited off of it. But those people have to be gone, out of power. And nothing's going to happen to them. But it'll be a while before we know. And I think we can all agree that we're past the pandemic phase. And when you, once again, do a 180 on your position, you've seen it with Fauci numerous times. You've seen it with Dr. Walensky numerous times. You've seen it with the old guy from NIH on numerous times. You've seen so many people swing, miss, and fail that it's no wonder nobody believes anything that these people have to say. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program Ukraine. The battle still continues. Yesterday, the Pooter saber-rattling.
So that might be why he continuously reminds the world that he has an extensive nuclear arsenal, which he does. But it doesn't make sense that is...
Yeah. He continues to say that he's got a nuclear arsenal. Doesn't make sense over the Ukraine why you would threaten the world with that. He has once again come out and threatened everybody again. If you get involved anymore, this is what's going to happen. Lightning war, et cetera, et cetera. He's not using nuclear weapons on his NATO allies. I mean, on our NATO allies or anybody else at this point. There's no reason for it. Could frustration come down the line where he tries to use a tactical nuke? That may be. And then Europe's going to have to decide, how do we deal with somebody who just used a tactical nuke on our soil? But at this point, it's just, he's frustrated, he's pissed, and he realizes they're not going anywhere. And as long as the modern weapons and the will of the people continue to fight the Russians, it's just a loss for him. As I've said, beating the Russians is different than the Russians beating the Ukrainians. You have to destroy, you have to replace, and you have to occupy. You have to do three things if you're the Russians. If the Ukrainians, you have to do one. Survive. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Healthy Cell. We're just talking about COVID and all this kind of stuff. I'm big on my immune system. I try to get out, get my vitamin D, work out. I try to do good stuff. You know, I'm not perfect. 51, though, I think I'm pretty decent shape. But I could always use a boost. And that's why I take Healthy Cell. Healthy Cell is great. I gobble it up every day. It's simple and easy. They've got these little packets. It's ingestible gel. I know that sounds, what's that mean? It's imagine take like something like a hot sauce package or a ketchup package. You tear the top off, suck it down, away it goes. Tastes great, but it's going to give me all the nutrients I need. It's great for my immune system. It's got all the vitamin C, the zinc, all this incredible stuff, and I get way more than I would using, you know, the regular old pills that you take. Oh my God, like 165% more. I have to take about 14 pills to get the same thing I get with just one small Healthy Cell packet. If you're saying, you know what, I need something like that, I need to make myself, really start taking better care of myself, and these supplements don't work, this is what it's all about. Your journey, as they say, begins now with Healthy Cell. Go to healthycell.com/Chad. Healthycell.com/Chad. There you'll save 20% on your first order when you use code Chad. I do focus and recall, REM, Immune Super Boost. The REM thing is great. I sleep amazing. Try it yourself. HealthyCell.com/Chad. 20% off now. HealthyCell.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending.
What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending?
Let's find out what's trending in the old interwebs. Start on the Google. Biggest thing yesterday, the Warriors. I'm a warrior. They won, I guess, Golden State. I think they won. I don't know. I don't really watch basketball, I'll be honest. I'll watch some of the finals, but... Administrative Professionals Day, which I didn't even know was a thing. What the hell is that? What's an administrative professional? Phil, what's the definition of that? Is that a secretary?
Probably.
Okay. Can't say that anymore, though. Megan Fox is hot and insane, and Machine Gun Kelly is weird. But apparently they drink each other's blood. Because that's what normal people do. I don't think it is. Avatar 2. Some footage coming out of it. Dazzling, says some. Dazzling. It's got a new name, too. We'll talk about that. They finally named it. The amount of money this thing is costing. James Cameron's a trippy dude. He is. He's an interesting character. Just a very weird cat. But also kind of down to earth. And I got some good stories. Head on over to Twitter. Jeopardy. I think the lesbian librarian won again, or tutor. Lesbian tutor. That's how they described her the other day in a tweet. It was like CBS or NBC. Lesbian tutor wins for the umpteenth time. For now on, it's like tall person wins. Oh, Chad. Ministry of Truth. What is this? Well, they're going to have a Department of Homeland Security is now going to have a misinformation and disinformation team. Wait, what? Misinformation and disinformation. Like an FBI / Homeland Security / whatever team to go out and do what? Go after people who've spread the meme that you didn't think was right? Oh, I don't really. Yeah. Never again. Trending. Obviously, Holocaust Memorial Day. It's funny. Zelensky has talked about this, but on more than a few occasions we hear never again, but here's what's going on in our country. And it feels like that was more or less just about words. And I think it's fair because the reality is we're arming the hell out of them. We're getting ourselves away from being any kind of dependence on anything that Russia does when it comes to energy. And it's not the same. It's not like the Jews back, in the Holocaust days, and the gypsies and the gays and the people who were mentally, struggled, incapacitated in so many ways. It's not the same because we're watching it. But understandable. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Inflation is here. You guys recognize that. It's not hard to understand. The average person feels this way.
You go in with 20, you come out with less than, looks like $5 worth of grocery. It's hard to make ends meet.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yesterday, our little team here, we went down to St. Mary's Food Bank, which is located here in Phoenix. It was actually the first food bank ever in the world. And it is massive. So we meet down there at 10:30. So our whole cast and crew cruised over there. So for my local show. So we head over there. It's 10:30 in the morning. People have been lined up since 7. And first of all, can we just say how amazing human beings are? Because all volunteers, minus a few people that work for the charity itself, and all of the food is donated. Said it costs them about $16 million a year to run the program. They get a few grants, but the rest of it is basically grandma gives 10, somebody gives 100, donations from, places where, hey, this expires tomorrow, but you can still eat it for up to 2 years, and, this bread's only got a month left. We got too much of it. And, and so, but it was amazing to see all the people. And why this was so interesting, I think people think food bank, people are like, look at all these cars and look at, we were talking and the guy's like, look, you know how many people here that we serve mostly people who have a home, they have a job. But because of, whatever the circumstance is, they're close to losing everything, and feeding them and their family allows them to keep the lights on, allows them to put gas in the car to go to work, allows them to just get by. And that woman that you heard there says, I go in, I spent $20 in the grocery store, I come out, it looks like I spent $5. It is so real. And people are feeling it. And with the contraction going on right now in the economy, 1.4% in the last quarter, which is not a good situation for the president and for the Democrats, you got to look for something and somebody to push it back against, because you're also running for re-election. And while he's not, the Democratic Party is. And how go they will really decide what the last 2 years of his presidency looks like, if indeed, some people still think he's not going to make it through 2 years. I think he will, but it's going to be ugly.
More Americans have more money in our pockets. And yes, that means Americans are buying a lot. That creates a lot of demand. And when supply can't keep up, that is an inflationary pressure. But it's interesting that Germany was mentioned, right? So in modern-day Germany and modern-day Europe, you're seeing the same inflationary pressures that we're seeing in the United States. This is largely a global phenomenon. We're seeing the same thing with food prices. And, most Nobel Prize-winning economists who evaluated the president's fiscal policies believe they would actually serve to ease inflationary pressures. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but the bottom line is we're working against inflation with everything that we've got.
Yeah. But our inflation numbers are so much higher than a lot of these countries you're touting. And there's no doubt that we're a global economy now, and there's going to be pressures. You got COVID, you got all this nightmare. All of that's true. How leaders are great, how coaches are great. How many times have you seen the greatest coach in sports history in America, in Bill Belichick? How many times have you seen him go in at halftime and they were down 16-3. You're like, this don't look good. They're down 21-10. He's done, and they come out and they adjust. And then all of a sudden, it's different. And then all of a sudden, it works. See, in politics, things are going to come at you because politicians and inherently, government they're reactionary. The problem is we got an 8,000-year-old president whose reactions aren't very good. And when he does have some sort of plan, it's usually an awful one. That's not very nice. He's not 8,000. 78. 78. So think about that for a second. Being a great leader is being, first and foremost, forward-thinking, but secondly, being able to adapt. And this government and this administration in particular does not adapt well. So what should we do, Chuck?
If you want to get rid of inflation, the only way to do it is to undo a lot of the Trump tax cuts and raise rates. No Republican is ever going to do that. So the only way to get rid of inflation is through reconciliation.
So the best thing to do is to raise rates. That's it. That's the best thing. Because those tax cuts were horrible. IRS data. December last year, Trump's tax cuts benefited middle and working class Americans the most. Oh, my God! And what we always know, too, and by the way, the BS that they'll tell you is it's only going to be this group of people that has to do something. We all know eventually they run out of that group of people, or the reason that group of people is the way that they are is because they're smarter than the average bear, and they're able to go, well, I'll pivot over here. So then they have to go looking for more money. I think it was Churchill said, trying to get out of a recession by taxing yourself is like trying to pull yourself up while standing inside of, like a box. I'm going to pull this box up and I'm going to stand inside it. You just can't do it. But that's their plan. They got lots of plans. Case in point, we pivot. That's my pivot noise. To now, apparently, we need something that is incredible. So the Ministry of Truth is what people are talking about online. It's misinformation, disinformation, super duper squad.
Our Undersecretary for Policy, Rob Silvers, is co-chair with our Principal Deputy General Counsel, Jennifer Daskell, in leading a just recently constituted misinformation, disinformation governance board. So we're bringing, the goal is to bring the resources of the department together to address this threat.
So what? You're going to have a misinformation, disinformation governance board that is going to do what? Apparently, it's coordinated in countering misinformation related to Homeland Security, focused specifically on irregular migration and Russia. Russia. Do you think that's all it's going to be for? I'm just curious. Now, we need to know about disinformation and misinformation. There's no doubt about that. But that also goes back to part of the misinformation and disinformation debunking is we as human beings need to actually take some accountability and look some stuff up. Because we do have something in front of us, in our hands, at our desk, that will give us opportunities to verify and or look things up. Now, sometimes you have to dig deeper. But if there's something that you're passionate about or something that you do wonder about, that you're like, I don't think that's real, I need to look that up, then that's a good thing. Now, if you're just going to believe everything, that's not good. That's not. I always wonder what happened to our curiosity, a sense of curiosity. My sense of curiosity. What's wrong with it? I like to know, right? Like, what's my sense of curiosity in something? Sometimes just like, I really don't care about that, so I'm not curious about it at all. You may be telling me the truth. You may not be telling me the truth. Doesn't matter, because none of the information you're telling me in any way, shape, or form affects my life, and nor do I care about that. Then it could be something as, do you know how a shoe is made? Now, I'd be like, oh, I'm kind of curious about how this is made or how that is made. Oh, that's very interesting. But I'm curious like that. But I'm curious about all kinds of stuff. Like, what exactly does this disinformation do? Who gets to decide what it is? And then from there, they moved on to what's the biggest threat in the United States of America at this point in time?
What is your current assessment of the domestic terrorism threat to our country?
Mr. Chairman, it is our assessment that domestic violent extremism poses the greatest terrorism-related threat to our homeland.
What? Your want to find a boogeyman around every corner? That's some white guy who's living in Idaho, who, by the way, can't get their crap together. You know, it's the F troop isn't taking anything over. Like when you've got it's an insurrection and the people that were supposedly planning it are meeting at the Olive Garden at night because things didn't go well and they're afraid to bring their guns over to the city of D.C., so they put them in a hotel somewhere else. It's really not the greatest threat to democracy. It's not. That's not. Like our free speech, taking that away, that's a huge threat to democracy, arguably the biggest threat, hence the reason why we have what we have in the Constitution. And if that First Amendment is taken away, at the bottom in fine print, it says, see Second Amendment in case of emergency. Well, there it is, Chad. That's threats right there. No, but the insane, we got to have a misinformation, disinformation team. And again, part of that is on us. And the everywhere around the world, I mean, a corner, there's a boogeyman. And it's white supremacy, and it's everywhere, is such a load of crap. It is. And people aren't buying it. They're not. They're just not buying this stuff anymore. By the way, on average, about 35 people a year die from domestic, quote-unquote, terrorism. How many people die from gang violence a year? Do we want to talk about that? Or is that just something that doesn't fit a certain political ideology? And we don't really want to discuss that any further because it goes against something that we all know we should talk about. So what you're saying is young black males have a tendency, based on data and numbers, to be involved in more gun violence? Yes. And you know who it hurts? Not just young black males, which mostly it hurts. The entire community, which feels like they're held hostage by domestic terrorism. But it just doesn't fit the political want by some of these people. So we put in sham programs that do nothing. And then we go, let's go quick to Idaho because there's 6 guys there and they're watching stuff on the internet and they're mailing things out as they try to rally a group of people to meet behind the Big O tire store to start the revolution. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Chad, you're just being mean. Probably. EdenPure.com. So you go to InPureDeals.com, and there you're going to find the greatest and latest. And they got all kinds of deals. I mean, they got stuff galore. But the OxyLeaf 2 Thunderstorm is the air purifier of my choice. And I've got it throughout the house. I walk in at night and go, delicious, because I don't smell anything. There's no bad smells. Like sometimes you can have litter boxes, animals, kids, smoking, whatever it is. There could be some smell. Somebody does something inside the old kitchen there when they cook something inside the microwave they shouldn't have. And you're like, ugh. Watch what this thing can do. This air purifier is great. You take it right out of the box, you plug it in, super quiet, and anyone? No filters to buy. Oh. So what are you waiting for? Save big. Get your house smelling the difference. You go to EdenPureDeals.com. Shipping is free. Use code CHAD and the number 3. CHAD3. Save $200 on 3-pack. That's EdenPureDeals.com. Use the discount code CHAD3 to save $200. EdenPureDeals.com. Discount code CHAD3. Shipping is free. Chad Benson Show.
I can't take it anymore!
Well, get over it. It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
I had a gynecologist appointment today to get an Explanon implant in my arm, and which is birth control, by the way. And my gynecologist is usually pretty respectful. I've only had 2 appointments, but she's respected me as a trans person. Well, today, as I was checking out for my appointment, I was standing right there in front of her, and she starts talking to the woman that's the nurse that's checking me out, and she misgendered me right in front of me.
Sorry. We've lost the plot. I snorted. Can we just stop pretending? Really, honestly? Why are we continuing to play along with this insanity? Stop humoring them. You have a vagina, but you're a man. That's not real. It's not. Now, you believe you're a man. You identify as a man. But your innards still say woman. Because, well, I mean, so he was outraged.
I didn't say anything because it was 10 o'clock in the morning. That's early for me, and it just didn't seem worth it. Maybe I'll confront her in my next appointment in 6 months, if I remember.
If I remember, maybe I will. As Anthony said, even in their anger, they're lazy. Were you this lazy as a woman? Okay, that's not very nice, Chad. It's just not. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. It's your Twitter, it's your love, your hate. You want to tweet at me, go ahead. Feel free to do it. I always say be respectful, right? You have your opinions, I have mine. But if your opinion differs than mine, I don't start out our conversation with an F you, you POS. That's not a conversation. You're angry. And usually when you're angry, it's because you found out something that maybe went against your belief system and it made you uncomfortable. So the easiest thing to do was to scream racist or homophobe or something of that nature. Breathe. Breathe. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
That's me. Hope all is well with you this Friday light, as I like to call it. I'm just sitting here. I was going through and listening to a bunch of insane stuff from Pelosi and Schumer talking about the oil and gas industry and how horrible they are, you know.
Oil companies last year made record profits on these tragedies, almost like vultures.
Really? Almost like vultures. Almost like vultures? Wow, those are some strong words. Right? What are you guys going to do about it?
Democrats are moving forward with forceful action that will stop and hold accountable oil and gas companies for profiteering and manipulating markets. This is a top priority.
Well, first of all, how are you going to hold them accountable? Just out of curiosity. How are you going to hold a group of people accountable when it's a global marketplace? I'm throwing it out there. You know, it's funny, though. Exxon last year, they did pretty well for themselves, right? You know, I mean, Exxon, my goodness me. I look in here at Exxon and I'm like, whoa, $23 billion. $23 billion in earnings. Now, that is, not everything. You got to go through the whole nine, get through it, and they're probably going to do better this year. That's pretty good, though, right? Like, you're like, that's pretty good. Pfizer, the savior of everything, who they're not talking about? $81.3 billion. Double what they did in 2020. And this year they're expected to do over $100 billion. Are we going after those turkey vultures? Are we going to go after them? No. You guys are so transparent and so hypocritical. See, Pfizer was the savior for everybody, as was Moderna. And Pfizer's way bigger than Moderna. Moderna's like a boutique pharmaceutical company compared to Pfizer. Who paid for all that? Well, taxpayers paid for all the Pfizer stuff. Pfizer stuff worked, but wasn't perfect. Good on them for getting it out fast. It did help people. But do we know all that's out there? Just out of curiosity. Do we know? It benefits them to scream and yell about prices and all this stuff because they're evil and they're bad and everything about them is that, and they just sit around and they're just, what are they? They're the fat cats, right? It's my favorite thing. They sit around, they're smoking a cigar, and it's some big fat white guy, and he's got gray hair and straight out of Central Casting, he's smoking a cigar. I like the fact that we did this. But Pfizer's just, oh no, they're monks. They were donating their time. Yeah. What are you guys going to do about it?
We are laser focused.
You excuse me?
We are laser.
You're what?
We are laser.
You're what?
We are laser focused.
Laser
on
focused.
Lowering costs at the pump and across the board, not just at the pump.
All right. That's good. So more regulations. Definitely do that. That always helps. More lawsuits. Totally helps too. Make sure they can only drill in certain places, and when they do start to drill, come in and make sure that you stop them from drilling, and then cost them more money to try to get the oil out of the ground. That's fantastic. And I just read yesterday that they're going to, in California only, the big oil companies are going to put a 6-cent tax on oil prices per gallon in. Oh, wait a minute. That's California's adding the 6 cents, not the oil companies. So disingenuous. It is. It's tough, right? Well, one of them saved the world, and the other one is the evil and the bane of the existence of all mankind. Fossil fuels are bad. If we didn't have fossil fuels today, so we have no fossil fuels today. America goes, we're outlawing fossil fuels. Nobody cares about fossil fuels. We can't. What's the world look like today? I'm curious. Hey, all you kids out there who are really into the green stuff, what's it like? You gonna take to your Twitter and or your Insta, your TikTok? What happens when you run out of juice, though? We don't have any fossil fuels to power it. Oh, maybe in a few places you've got some alternative energy that might work, but very small. How are you going to get to work? Again, curious. I'm just asking questions. My God, so disingenuous. Speaking of that, Dr. Fauci.
We are certainly right now in this country out of the pandemic phase. Namely, we don't have 900,000 new infections a day and tens and tens and tens of thousands of hospitalizations and thousands of deaths. We are at a low level right now. So if you're saying, are we out of the pandemic phase in this country? We are.
Yeah, we are out of the pandemic phase. I think most of us are living our lives that way. Was it 2 weeks ago? Philadelphia is like, all right, here's the deal. We're masking up again indoors. And that was a Monday. So they announced it the week before. That was a Monday. By Thursday, they're like, yeah, we're not doing that. Because first of all, nobody was doing it. Like, people like, we're not listening anymore. Don't listen to the numbers of our 47,000 people tested positive. Look at the hospitalizations. But he just said we were out of it. He said we were out of the pandemic phase. He said that. Jen Psaki, later on, same day.
So there's no question that we're in a moment, a different moment in our fight against COVID. But we also know COVID isn't over and the pandemic isn't over.
Okay, so, yeah, they came out and issued an apology. Said, no, he got it wrong. We are not out of it. He misspoke. We're out of we're in a momentary pause. We're not out of it yet. Not yet. Yeah, we are. Are you really living your life in the pandemic way? You're not. You wearing a mask everywhere? You're not. You're wearing a mask anywhere. Outside of going to a few hospitals? You're not. We kind of know what's going on. We kind of go, okay, look. Majority of Americans caught it. 75% of children, 60% of Americans. When Omicron rolled through, you couple that with the vaccine, which isn't 100%. And they're rolling out vaccines for kids now, and they're not quite sure if these things really work well. I'm like, no. Somebody asked me, are you going to get your daughter the vaccine? I'm like, no. She's 3. She's healthy. She's got nothing to worry about. This isn't the thing that is killing children and young people and people under 65 who are in semi-good health. And we find that out. Those numbers will be put out there eventually. All that being said is, you wonder why people don't trust you. Why would they? You came out and said earlier in the day, hey, this thing's over. We're entering a new phase. Then you issue an apology later after the White House says, no, we're still in the middle of it. Make up your mind. You guys can't get together. You've never met. You've never spoken. What a joke. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from all of you. The battle of Ukraine's going on. We're going to get another $33 billion in aid to help them fight. The rhetoric is being ramped up continuously with the asshat that is the pooter.
So that might be why he continuously reminds the world that he has an extensive nuclear arsenal, which he does. But it doesn't make sense that is where he goes to if the U.S. or NATO interferes in his invasion of a sovereign country.
He's like a person on Twitter who, or, television or wherever, where their go-to is, well, I got nuclear weapons and I'll bomb you. And a lot of other people are like, well, you're a racist. You're a homophobe. You're a transphobe. Like, that's their go-to, is just label somebody something and then it's drop the mic. His is like, well, if you guys don't stop, I'm going to bomb you. You're not bombing anybody. You're not. I think America feels pretty safe to say that you're not. Now, is it a possibility that he may do something much more over the line in Ukraine, especially as he continues to flounder, that is a distinct possibility. Does it mean that he's going to launch an all-out attack on the world? No. Mutual destruction. I think there are people over there who are and would pull the plug on that on him. Say, no, this isn't happening. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from all of you. Rough Greens, ruffgreens.com/Chad. Makes any pet food better. Give it to my dogs every single day. They love it. That's a good thing. It is. It's a great thing. Supplements are amazing when they're right. And this has been great for my dogs, especially my older dogs. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, Omega 369, incredible stuff. Feed it to my dogs, and my older dog Doodle's healthier and happier than he's ever been. And I love it. Now, they want you to try it before you buy it, which is pretty awesome. They want you to cover the cost of shipping, a few bucks. They're going to send you a bag for free. You go to ruffgreens.com/Chad, ruffgreens.com/Chad. When you do, they send you the bag for free. You cover the cost of shipping. You can also call them directly, 833-MY-DOG-77, 833-MY-DOG-77. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
I'm so tired. I'm exhausted.
If you're part of the politically exhausted majority, don't fear. Your time to be validated and rejuvenated is here. Wake up. It's the Chad Benson Show.
We should not expect to see inflation rise to the levels we saw in the 1980s or interest rates rise to the level we saw in the 1980s. Interest rates are still very low, historically speaking, and even when the Fed finishes raising rates by the end of the year, and they may not be done, but by the end of 2022, rates are going to be in the 2.5% to 3% range. That is still historically low.
Editor-in-Chief of Investotopia, Caleb Silver right there. And interest rates are going up. And remember, it goes up across the board for everything. Your credit card bills are going up. What it does, when it goes up a quarter point, half point, a point on your mortgage is also something that a house that you could afford at this rate, now you can't afford. Or it throws the economics of it, just out of whack. I don't know what it looks like, how much they're going to raise it. They had talked about raising it, throughout the year, maybe, raising it, several times, a quarter of a point at a time, because the whole thing is to try to stem inflation. They're trying something that they've tried on numerous occasions that never works. It's getting it right. The right is, how do we slow the economy down and essentially one side of the economy, which is the want side, and bring it on par with the supply side. And then it's off it goes at a regular pace. And they've never done it well because it's virtually impossible to do, and far tougher now than ever before, because the fact is we've never been in a situation where we've got the energy issue, COVID supply chains issue, on top of the fact that we handed out more money because we just printed it because we thought, well, this is what we should do. And then Biden's like, well, I want to give money out too. And then they went back. One time is all we should have done. One time. Just once. One time. No more. 3? Too much. Too much, man. Too much. Now what do we have? We got inflation. And with all of that stuff, with the war, with the the issues with oil, then you top off the supply chain and COVID and start stopping the economy, not enough workers. They've never faced anything like this. The best of times in a regular economy, not as globally intertwined, they weren't good at this. So I don't expect them to do anything but jack the pooch. In the end, I don't know if that's something you can say, but I did. Kids, your chance to get the children shots is here. if you'd like them.
I think now is a moment to realign what the goals of vaccine are, what the transparency is in terms of the side effects, and make sure instead of just shouting all this information at parents, we also take a minute to listen, to truly hear what those concerns are and address them.
Nope, don't do that. 75% of children got Omicron. There's no reason to get your kid a shot. There really isn't. Talk to your doctor, best thing to do. But at this moment, there really isn't any reason to go out and rush and do it, especially when the efficacy, of this, the effectiveness is, the study isn't really amazing. So, but some people are just dying to do it. Just like, I got to go do it today. Even though they face zero risk. Not zero. Pretty much as zero-y as you can get. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Every once in a while, you just have to sit back, laugh, and enjoy some crazy.
You think Biden is not alive right now?
No, the guy that's doing the stand-up job of trying to wake people up is an actor wearing a mask. I mean, there's several different people playing Joe Biden at this point. And then when he fell up the stairs going on the airplane, I myself think that was Jim Carrey. I've heard that he was one of them.
Wait. You think that Jim Carrey was wearing a mask and was the acting president?
And being silly by falling up the stairs 3 different times. Woods also, I think, is one of the doppelganger.
Wow. James Woods is very interesting. By the way, our good friend and yours, Jim Carrey, did come out and say, essentially responded to that. It is not Jim Carrey. That entire mess is Joe Biden. But the fact that Jim Carrey even came out. But the James Woods thing is very interesting because I don't know if you guys are aware of this. James Woods is not a big fan of the Democratic Party. That's what I heard. See, but here's what the media does, and it's so you find some people, right, and it's the guy from The Good Liars or whatever, and you go and you find the most, just like the libs of TikTok do, you find the most insane people, and then essentially you make it so that's all the other side is, right? That's all the other sides. All of the other side is just like this person who is saying that, men can have babies and, women can have wieners and, and it's like, that's and over here, you believe that Jim Carrey is really playing the part of several actors, but Jim Carrey being one of them, of Joe Biden. Never once saying, oh, well, yeah, by the way, I forgot to tell you that about Biden. He's also here, but he's hidden in a bunker or something. And so that automatically is what both sides are about. It's such crap. It's so disingenuous. But it's funny. And there are people out there that genuinely believe it. I mean, look, I feel bad that she has lost that kind of plot, right? Because She really believes that. Like she in her heart goes, oh, I believe that this is true. And you do ask yourself, how'd you get there? Like, how did you get there? Like, this isn't about aliens. And if you go by, as we were just talking about the disinformation and all that kind of stuff, you have to think about this for a second. When Roswell happened, when all this stuff happened, one of the things that the feds wanted to make sure is interview the craziest people when it comes to UFOs. Interview crackpots and lunatics. Interview people who think that every airplane is a UFO. Interview people that can barely string together a sentence, because eventually people who may see something, and again, much of this is probably our stuff, will never bring it up because they'll be terrified that they're going to be branded a lunatic. Oh, I never thought of that. The same kind of thing here, too. So, but she believes it. Good for her. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. We're just talking about, because I'm going to get a bunch of, and I'm already starting to get it, the what's it called? Like the whole thing with the COVID shots and all of this stuff. Well, this is Dr. Burton from Moderna, because now you've got kids under 5. They've got something. They're going to ask for emergency authorization to use it for kids under 5. But this is him talking about it. Let's think about this. So run out and get this for your kids, just in case, because of this.
No, so John, we did not have a large number of hospitalizations and thankfully no deaths in this study. So we can't get a good estimate of our protection against severe disease in these youngest, smallest children. But I think that's where we go back to the antibody data.
So you go back to the antibody data. Wait. Kids don't get sick. They're not getting sick. That data is out there. Why is it that there's a rush? Because the money's so big, right? I mean, that's a large swath of people that aren't getting something, and we don't want to miss out on that. Where's Nancy and Chuck out there going, wow, this feels like thievery and evil? Because, Chad, you just don't understand. Because we could get rid of fossil fuels and we'd be fine. But if we got rid of the vaccine, everyone would die. If we got rid of fossil fuels, I give it a week before we're eating each other. And, I forgot. What about the hospitals if we got rid of fossil fuels? Just curiosity sake here. Are you going to get the magic unicorns to come and power all the stuff? That does not say to me, run out and get this for your kids. And there'll be people going, see, that's disinformation. No, it's just I'm looking at the numbers. What's the data tell me? The data tell me that kids don't get sick. That's it.
We've seen vaccine effectiveness in this study between 40 and 50%. That's because this study was done in a time of Omicron predominance.
Oh, I see. 75% of kids got Omicron. Did we have just hundreds and thousands of dead children? We did not. So, next. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. Somebody won last night. It wasn't Phil or I or anybody else. They won a few dollars.
Because of a late surge in interest, the estimated jackpot for the Powerball lottery rose substantially. So at the time of the drawing,
it's worth an estimated $473.1 million. So get those tickets
lottery
out.
Officials say a single ticket sold at a convenience store in Gilbert, Arizona matched all 6 numbers in the Wednesday night drawing. The winner will pick between the whole $473 million paid out over 30 years or take a lump sum of $283 million.
Yeah. I am like 10, 15 minutes from Gilbert. If I was known that they were going to sell it over there, I would have went over there. but I did not. And alas, here we are. I did not win the money that I so richly deserve. $280 million after taxes. You're probably paying $80 million in taxes, I would assume. So right around there, close to 90. You're walking with about 2. That'd be all right. You'll be okay. That's good money. That's good money. It's a good day's work. It's a good day's work right there. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. I do. Jimmy Fallon, he is sometimes funny and mostly not, but he made some interesting points. If you follow along, they're trying to get rid of student debt, which of course is fascinating to, I think, a lot of people who had to go through it and pay it. And it never addresses any real issues of why we're in this position when it comes to student debt.
President Biden is seriously considering canceling student loan debt. When asked how the country can afford it, Biden said, I'm going to slide into Elon Musk's DMs. Yeah, Biden wasn't even thinking about forgiving student loan debt until he looked at his poll numbers with young voters. And your debt will be forgiven. Perfect. Yeah, Biden's basically telling every college student, I'll take care of your 4 years if you take care of mine.
Yeah, there's a lot to it that's spot on about that. 100%.
It's a risky move for Biden. He's about to win over everyone with student loans and lose everyone who just paid them off. Like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, so how do you do that? So do you do this? Do you, and again, I'm trying to give him some tips here. So do you tell everybody who paid off their student loans, you get to write that off in your taxes in the coming years? Do you just chalk it up as sucks for you? Do you tell everybody in the future, including all of the schools, that people no longer have to pay tuition? That the government's going to cover everything? So remember this, if the government's covering it and it's going to be free, you're not applying to colleges. I get to go there. Government's paying for it. We're never addressing the real issue of why are schools so ridiculously expensive? Why does it cost $60,000 a year for my kid to have an experience? Because that's what it is. Why does it cost $25,000 a year? Why does it cost $15,000 a semester? Just curious. What's it look like going forward? How are you going to force institutions to essentially charge virtually nothing? We're just going to tax the hell out of people to pay for it. That's a winning argument. Trust me, a lot of these people want their debt forgiven, but they don't want to pay somebody else's debt. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Healthy Cell helps you. What? Yeah. I take Healthy Cell every day. I used to take supplements, and they sucked. And horse pills is what it felt like. They tasted awful, and I never felt like they did anything for me. And so I kind of swore them off, and I'm like, look at studies. Nothing ever happens. Your body doesn't absorb it. Healthy Cell comes along and says, Chad, try this. So I tried it, Focus and Recall, and I tried the REM Sleep. REM Sleep is just incredible. And my Focus and Recall taken in the afternoon, I love it, right? Within minutes it works. But we're just talking about COVID. You know what? Immune Super Boost. I started taking this. My wife takes it, everybody takes it. It's incredible. It's a digestible gel, right? So you're like, what? Yeah, so you soak it in, boom. That's it. Gone. Looks like it comes in a little packet, almost like the size of let's just say something like a ketchup packet. And you suck it in, boom, away it goes. And what you get compared to what you do if you were taking pills is insane. 165% more than a tablet. You have to take about 15 large capsules to get the same as you would with Immune Super Boost. It's got everything you could think of when it comes to vitamins, minerals, protective antioxidants, you name it, it's got it. It's going to help support your immune cells, your immune response. It's incredible. Right now, your journey to a better, healthier you starts with Healthy Cell. Go to healthycell.com/Chad. Save 20% on your first order. healthycell.com/Chad. Check out all the amazing things they have. healthycell.com/Chad. 20% off your first order. healthycell.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Don't let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
You're on Pandora. And when we go back to Pandora for Avatar 2 this December, the movie will be called Avatar: The Way of Water. Disney made the announcement at CinemaCon in Las Vegas. Think of it as Comic-Con, but for movie theater owners. And you'll get your first look at the Avatar sequel when the trailer debuts before the upcoming Doctor Strange sequel next week. David O. Russell's latest star-studded movie also got a name reveal, Amsterdam. It stars Margot Robbie, Christian Bale, John David Washington, Chris Rock, Taylor Swift, Robert De Niro, and more, opening November 4th. Jason Nathanson, ABC News, Hollywood.
I don't really... I'm going to say this, and it's the biggest movie of all time, Avatar. I've never seen the whole movie. I have caught 30 minutes here, 45 minutes there, but I've never seen it from start to finish. And I thought, when I watched it, looks cool, right? But I don't know if it's like the greatest thing ever, but apparently it is. It's gonna be. Whoa, Way of Water. The Way of Water. Water. I remember, so James Cameron, who is doing these movies, and they're incredible. There's just no doubt. Like you realize that when he did Avatar, when he did Titanic, none of the stuff, as far as the filming went, he had to build out things that didn't exist, which is what makes him incredible. Same thing with Terminator 2. So when Terminator 2 came out, my uncle and I went to, we were fortunate enough to go to this thing we got selected for, to go and basically talk to directors before the movie comes out. We got to watch it first. And so there's like 20 of us in there, and James Cameron comes in, and we watch the movie with him. It's really cool. And it was very interesting hearing about his life story and how he did it. And like his first movie that, you know, he was working on a horrible low budget movie that was like super low budget. And he was a truck driver, I think at like Fullerton, California. So little place, like mid, you know, just middle class California suburb. And so he was working, it was a Roger Corman movie. And they couldn't get the hands that they had put together. They couldn't get the maggots to move. They just laid there and they needed it. And he came up, he goes, hey, why don't we shock them? And they did, right? And the maggots moved. He's like, oh, that's pretty cool, right? So, and he was just there dropping stuff off. And all of a sudden, Corman's like, hey, why don't you come do this? So finally got to do his first movie. He got to do, it was a Piranha 2. It was the first movie he directed. But same thing with this. If you read all the stuff they've done, he's had to create new cameras to do the things he wants to do. It's crazy. It is. But I don't know if it's, I saw it. I was, you know, again, I've never seen all the way through. I don't even know how the first one ends. I always get to the part where the green people's hair meshes with the dragon horse thing. And then I'm like, oh. And then I'm like, I got to go. I got other things going on. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Solid fun show today. We'll do it again tomorrow. NFL draft is tonight. No idea that was happening. But it is happening. You guys have a blessed rest of your day. Oh, thank God. I see you Friday. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.